Salut! Today we're going to go over lesson 13. This lesson will cover reflexive verbs and how to use them in the imperative mood and in the negative form. First, let me explain what a reflexive verb is. You may have heard of them called pronominal verbs, verbes pronominaux. Now, what that means is that the conjugation of the verb comes with a pronoun part. Pronominal verbs can be either reflexive, meaning the subject does the action upon themselves, or reciprocal, where more than one person is involved. Today, we're only focusing on the reflexive verbs. So for example, the verb se laver, which means to wash oneself. This means that when we conjugate this verb, we will say in French, I wash myself, you wash yourself, etc., using the pronoun that matches the same person as the subject. For I, in English, you use myself. For you, in English, you use yourself, etc. Now, that does not mean that all the reflexive verbs, when they will be translated into English, will include myself or yourself or themselves, etc. This is just to exemplify how these verbs work in French. Some French reflexive verbs like se lever just translate to get up. But in French, we use this verb as the action of getting oneself up, if that makes any sense. So this is why there is a pronoun included. So what we will need to learn today is the reflexive pronouns for our reflexive verbs. We already know the regular verb laver, which means to wash. We can use this in the present to say I wash the car, for example. Je lave la voiture. Now, some verbs like this one will exist as a normal verb as well as a reflexive verb. Others will only exist as a reflexive verb. But that's not important for now, just be aware of that. So to go back to our verb laver, when we want to use it as a reflexive verb, the infinitive will be se laver, with that extra se, S-E, in front of it. All we need to do is use the same conjugation as laver, but we will add the reflexive pronoun that matches with the subject before it instead of the placeholder se in the infinitive. Please, don't just add se all the time. I know it's tempting, but the pronoun is part of the conjugation. Se is only used for the infinitive, and as you will see right now, also for the third person of the singular and the third person of the plural. So, to conjugate the reflexive verb se laver in the present of the indicative, we will say, repeat after me, je me lave, tu te laves, il se lave, nous nous lavons, vous vous lavez, il se lave. Again, but faster. Je me lave, tu te laves, il se lave, nous nous lavons, vous vous lavez, il se lave. Now, as you can see on the table, the reflexive pronouns in order are me, te, se, nous, vous, ce. I foresee that within 4 weeks someone will ask me when seeing nous nous lavons, why do you repeat the subject nous? Well, hypothetical students from the future, thank you for this question. In the example nous nous lavons, which means we wash ourselves, even though the word nous seems repeated, one is the subject of the sentence, while the other one is the reflexive pronoun. This is why it is very important to understand the grammatical terms for the words and where and why we use them in French. Without understanding how reflexive pronouns work, you might just end up scratching your head looking at what seems to be a typo where we have two completely different words, which happen to be spelled the same. Now, one more thing about reflexive verbs that's different from English. If you use a reflexive verb with a part of the body, for example, I wash my hands. It's very important that you remember that the reflexive pronoun already includes the possessive part. After all, you cannot wash yourself someone else's hands. It can only be your own hands. This means that you will not need to use the possessive adjectives for my hands. In French, we will actually use the definite article, le or la or les, making this sentence basically, I wash myself the hands. In French, je me lave les mains. This will happen for all reflexive verbs when mentioning a part of the body. For example, to brush one's teeth is se brosser les dents. So to say I brush my teeth, even though in English you say my teeth, in French, the reflexive makes it obvious that they're yours and you're not brushing someone else's teeth. So you say the teeth. Je me brosse les dents. Now, did you download the class notes in the description below? Because there are two more examples of full conjugations there that you can follow along with, including se lever, which means to get up. This one is important because it is often mixed up with the verb se laver, which we just saw. And you don't want to end up saying you're washing yourself while telling someone you're getting up. So make sure you pronounce that A or the E correctly. Here, I'm going to conjugate both of them one after the other so you can hear it. The verb se lever is conjugated as follows. Repeat after me. Je me lève, tu te lèves, il se lève, nous nous levons, vous vous levez, il se lève. And again, the verb se laver with an A is conjugated. Je me lave, tu te laves, il se lave, nous nous lavons, vous vous lavez, il se lave. So, here's an example. To say I get up and I wash myself, you would say je me lève et je me lave. In the notes, there's also a picture with other regular reflexive verbs you can use to practice using the exercises in the end. So please click on the link below and make sure you download them. They're all regular of the first group, so you should have no issue conjugating these yourselves. And while you're there, please don't forget to like the video if you're benefiting from the work we put into it. And also I'm finishing another video trying to explain French humor using quotes from the famous French movies and TV shows. And I should post the first one this weekend. So if you want to make sure you don't miss it, make sure you subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button under this video. In any case, we have one more thing to see before we're done with today's lesson. And that's how to use our reflexive verbs using the imperative form and the negative imperative. Here, the problem is that both rules are very easy to understand, but they kind of contradict each other. So bear with me. See, to make an imperative with a reflexive verb, all you need to do is to follow the three rules of the imperative, which are first, to only use the three persons tu, nous, and vous. Then to remove the subject, and finally, if you happen to use a verb of the first group, meaning which infinitive ends in er, you remove the s at the end of the second person of the singular. If you need a reminder for these, please go back to the video on lesson 12. So our regular verb laver in the imperative would be lave, lavons, laver. Now for the reflexive verb se laver, you just add a little hyphen and put the matching stressed pronoun after it. The stressed pronouns, which we have seen before, are how you say me or you, for example, when someone says, who wants cake? Do you remember this? Okay, so they are in French moi, toi, lui, elle, nous, vous, eux. So our reflexive verb se laver in the imperative will be conjugated. Lave-toi, lavons-nous, lavez-vous, which means wash yourself, let's wash ourselves, and wash yourselves. This method will work with all the reflexive verbs, so feel free to practice with the verb se lever, for example. Now, as I said, the negative imperative is very logical too, but it's different, so it might be confusing. Basically, for a negative imperative, for example, saying don't wash yourself, forget about stress pronouns, simply make the regular sentence negative and remove the subject. And if ever you're using a verb of the first group, just remove the S with to, as usual for the imperative. This means that if we take our regular indicative sentence, you wash yourself, tu te laves, all we need to do is make it negative, as we have learned before, so we add ne and pas around the conjugated verb. Now, because the pronoun is part of the conjugated verb, it will be tu ne te laves pas. Here you see the ne comes before the te, because as I said, it's part of the conjugated verb. Now, to make this into a negative imperative, meaning don't wash yourself, here you only remove the subject and you will say ne te laves pas. I have also removed the S because it's a verb of the first group. But that rule should be hammered into your head for the imperative by now. See, as I said, this is quite easy. It's just that the regular imperative of reflexive verbs uses a different rule than the regular negative imperative of reflexive verbs. And here is one final example before I let you go to make it clearer. I will take the verb se lever, to get up, and give you its indicative form, its indicative negative form, its imperative form, and its imperative negative form with the subject tu. So it would be tu te lèves, meaning you get up, tu ne te lèves pas, meaning you don't get up, lève-toi, meaning get up, and ne te lève pas, meaning don't get up. Now, would you be able to give me these same examples with nous and then with vous? If you can, please write it in the comments and I'll make sure to correct it if there's any mistakes. In the meantime, I hope you're having a great day and that you've learned something. À la prochaine!